In the headlines, a piece of Gopital is in the hands of a private investor. But who sold it? Dr. Ernest Hilaire is ordered to return his much talked about vehicle to customs. And another bullet-riddled body has been discovered, one that could spark gang war. All this and more coming up in tonight's broadcast.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good night. It is Thursday, the 17th of September, 2020. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. I'm Rochelle Gonzalez, standing in for lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. The ongoing saga between the government of St. Lucia and St. Lucia's former High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, over an imported vehicle has taken a new twist, where just 2 weeks after challenging the government of St. Lucia to take his vehicle if they could, he has been ordered to return it to Port Castries. Here are the details in this report. Exactly 2 weeks ago, on the 3rd of September, Dr. Ernest Hilaire laughed off what he claimed was just another failed attempt to destroy his name and image by a scared United Workers' Party government after a press release was issued from the office of the Prime Minister, accusing him of defrauding the UK government during his stint as High Commissioner. The press release addressed the long-running issue surrounding a vehicle purchased by Dr. Hilaire whilst he served as the High Commissioner and subsequently had the vehicle exported to St. Lucia. The most recent mention of the vehicle stated that he did not pay the VAT on the vehicle, thus engaging in fraud. Dr. Hilaire called the move a shameful misuse of the office of the Prime Minister, stated that he instructed his legal team to take further legal action on his behalf to the fullest extent of the law, and he then challenged the government to take the vehicle if they had a leg to stand on. While the challenge was heard and accepted, and in a letter by the Finance, Customs and Excise Department dated September 16th, making reference to a request for documentation and perfect entry for importation of vehicle, Dr. Hilaire was ordered to return the vehicle in question to Port Castries into the care and custody of the Customs Department within 7 days of the date that the letter was issued. The letter states that requests since February 2018 for a copy of the supplier's invoice from the customs broker were not fulfilled, and to date has never been submitted to the examination officer or the customs broker. Along with this request, the letter states that further requests were also made for the submission of the purchase invoice among other documents. A request for the documents were repeated weeks later through his attorney. However, these requests were also not fulfilled. This is what led to the recall, a measure taken to satisfy the perfect entry requirements to account for the vehicle pursuant to the provision of Section 26 and 65 of the Customs Act. Failure to adhere will invoke proceedings to be issued against Dr. Hilaire pursuant to Section 102 of the Customs Act, Cap 1505 of the revised laws of St. Lucia. Hot 7 was unsuccessful with attempts to reach Dr. Hilaire for a comment. However, he posted a short quote to his Facebook page stating, quote, "Wickedness and hatred will never prevail. It may have fleeting victories, but it can never overcome the voices of righteousness and goodness. I am silent, but not because I cannot fight, but because this fight is bigger and higher than me. For that reason, I am patient. Tick-tock, tick-tock. UWP must go." End quote. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Rochelle Gonzalez. What is going on within the Piton management area? Images have surfaced on social media questioning possible developments at the base of Gopiton. Questions were posed to the director of the St. Lucia National Trust as to how lands were sold and developments could possibly take place right under the nose of the SLNT.
Social media has been awash with photos of development works in the Anslavoine area on Gros Piton. The area of the proposed developments border along the no-build zone designated by UNESCO. The pair of mountains making up the two pitons is a World Heritage Site and is designated as one of the places on Earth that is of outstanding value to humanity. The site has been ascribed on the World Heritage List to be protected for future generations to appreciate and enjoy. That should therefore mean that the lands should not be sold off or people should not be allowed to build there. So the question was asked to the director of the St. Lucia National Trust, Bishnu Tulsi, is there any truth to the development works on the Piton?
We are aware of a development that's ongoing at Anslavoine. It's adjacent to the Anslavoine River, which is at the base of Gros Piton, so it is within the World Heritage Site. We learned of this development about the middle of last year, and we started finding out what was happening because, as you know, The trust was integrally involved in the whole process leading to the designation of the PMA as a World Heritage Site back in 2004. And the DCA made a presentation to the PMAC on that development in October of last year. And based on what the PMAC saw, they concluded that this development was in the no-build zone, and that it will impact on the World Heritage status. It will impact on the outstanding universal value, and rejected the application.
Tusi says subsequently the SLNT learned that a request was approved. However, they were informed that it was a different development. He says the trust has tried unsuccessfully to get the new plans that were approved. He says out of frustration, the trust has conducted a site visit with the developer. However, all that was seen was a cleared area. Therefore, they are unable to say whether these new plans will cause any distress to the protected area.
That is really something that the PMAC needs to do, not the trust, because this is a matter, government created this body for that purpose. So we've been liaising with the PMAC and trying to see if we could get a copy of the plans and ascertain whether or not the concerns of the PMAC have been met. So far, we have not made progress on that. It was approved by the DCA. That's what we were told. We have not seen the actual approval.
Okay, and
but the developer told us that.
He says he has been agitating for the plans to be seen. However, there seems to be an air of secrecy among those with the responsibility for overseeing what is going on. So, is the National Trust basically a toothless tiger?
We do not have legal authority to stop these things. We are, by law, an advisor to government on these things. That's stated in our act. So we can only advise. And we have a process that we follow. We investigate, like now we are trying to get the plans. Because before we engage in a discussion on this, we have to know what we're talking about. And when those things become frustrated, we are forced to spend a lot of time and energy taking these things out into the public domain, which is unfortunate, because all of these things could be resolved behind closed doors through dialogue and discussion, which is what we crave. This is such a simple matter. If we see the plans, we look at the LAC study, we could determine that it's fine. And if it's fine, it's fine. We will be happy to say so. But at least we should go through that process, and in fact, it should not even require the trust to be involved. That's the job of the DCA and the PMAC.
Tulsi says the government institutions such as the Peter Management Area Committee and the DCA need to step up a bit more if the development will affect the status of St. Lucia's World Heritage. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
Former Minister for Planning under United Workers' Party administration, Dr. Keith Mondesi, has spoken out about the speculated development in the Peter Management Area. Mondesi says during his tenure, he recalls developments wanting to be done around the Peter area, and they had to be stopped in order to ensure the country kept its World Heritage status. He says, however, this current administration needs to tread carefully, as losing such status could result in huge implications for the country.
With the many questions now being raised by the public on a possible development being built on Gopitor, former Minister for Planning under the United Workers' Party, Dr. Keith Mondesi, says during his tenure, the administration dodged the bullet that could have cost St. Lucia its World Heritage status.
I was the Minister of Planning when we almost lost the heritage site. The heritage site, the conditions from the heritage site is that there is a boundary, and it is called the no-zone building. You cannot build within that zone. So if that falls within the no-build zone, because that is the criteria that the World Heritage Site said that you could not build around inside that zone. So if the building that is projected to build falls outside of the no-build zone, then everything is okay. When they were building, although they were building close enough, when I was the Minister of Planning, we had to send the Honorable Richard Frederick because they were trying to pull away the authority they gave us to use the World Heritage symbol. And we had to go back and straighten that out. So if that happens, we have the chance and we are in a position to lose the World Heritage Site.
Mondays, he says, this time around, the fundamental issue is the lack of consultation and transparency between people and members of government, given that all information relating to the terms of the permission for the development, whether the land was sold or leased, as well as who granted the permission for the development, is not clear.
I have a problem with this present government. The ministers and the prime minister of this country, they are behaving as if it's their mother that left property for them. They are treating the St. Lucian's property as if it's their own, and that is a mistake. That is disrespecting the people of St. Lucia. That is no secret. That should be, as a matter of fact, that should be out there, hearing the opinions of people from Soufrière first to begin, and then the entire nation. And that is the respect that they have to bring to the people of St. Lucia, because it's not their mother's property, it's not their father's property, it's not their aunt's property, but they are treating the property of St. Lucia as if it is their family property. That has to stop.
He says if the right measures are not taken and the developments are actually built within the no-build zone, St. Lucia stands to lose its World Heritage status, and that comes with many other implications.
You lose your World Heritage status. The tourism attraction is not going to be there anymore. You understand? So that is what you have to weigh. Are you going to weigh that vis-a-vis whatever is happening on the other side? So you're going to lose the heritage site.
Mondays, he says, all groups responsible for safeguarding St. Lucia's heritage and status need to come together to ensure the heritage status is not revoked from the country. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Janine Bondan.
On Wednesday, September 16th, police officers responded to a shooting incident in Bele Marigo. Upon arrival, responding officers found the lifeless body of 37-year-old Jan Schalmijn, a resident of the area. Acting Assistant Commissioner of Police George Nicholas had the details.
On Wednesday, 16 September 2020, police responded to a shooting at Bele in the quarter of Marigo. Upon arrival, police discovered the motionless body of 47-year-old Jan Schalmijn at his residence. What appeared to be gunshot wounds was noticed about his body. He was subsequently pronounced dead by a medical practitioner. A post-mortem is scheduled to be conducted on the body to determine the cause of death.
Nicholas says that the hierarchy of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force is concerned that there will be retaliation to this latest homicide, as the area has previously faced issues with gang-related violence.
Once there is reports of homicides, the police generally anticipates reprisals, and as a result, we do put measures in place to sort of alleviate that kind of retaliation. As we speak, there are officers on the ground who are conducting investigations.
Schalmijn's death has been recorded as homicide number 34 for 2020. The RSLPF is currently approaching a 50% solve rate for this year's homicide. This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Still to come, the RSLPF continues to rid the streets of illegal weapons. White chocolate gets blacklashed, and 11 years later, St. Jude is yet to be completed.